It's Tuesday the 2nd of December from the MEN newsroom. This is Channel M's Lunchtime News and these are today's headlines. The first snow of winter, delays on the roads and a forecast of more icy temperatures to come. Also this lunchtime, more job worries at a bank with offices here in Manchester. Now it's Credit Suisse.
It's only 4 years since this office was first announced. Now staff inside face an uncertain future.
Plus, blowing bubbles, the latest idea to cut antisocial behaviour caused by alcohol.
Takes the mind off other things that they could probably finish up doing, which is causing antisocial behaviour.
Good afternoon. First, this lunchtime, it was a slow journey into work for many people this morning. Large parts of Greater Manchester awoke to find it snowing and settling. Forecasters say the sub-zero temperatures will continue through the week. It's the first major freeze of the winter. We've had photographers out and about across Greater Manchester. These are just some of the images that we've had in of the scenes that were greeting you as you woke up. If you want to add your photos to these as well, you can text them in to 88821. Start your message with the word news, or you can try emailing them as well to newsdesk@channelm.co.uk. Well, the weather caused several accidents. Other roads were blocked by the icy conditions and the frost also affected public transport. These are the pictures from our travel news bulletins early this morning. You can clearly see that particularly on the motorways on the outskirts of Greater Manchester and the M62 heading over towards Yorkshire, a covering of snow on some of the carriageways and the traffic going a little bit more slowly to cope with the conditions. Well, joining us now is Roy Wood from the Highways Agency to tell us a little bit more about how we did cope this morning with the problems that were there. Just give us an idea of where the problems were worst.
Well, we had some flurries of snow early this morning and late last night, primarily on the M62 going over the tops and also on the M61. But I'm pleased to say that we'd anticipated this. We were working very closely, as we always do, with the Met Office. And from our regional control centre in the northwest, we were able to forecast the snow, and we did in fact grit before the event such that we were able to keep all the carriageways open. We did 4 grits last night. We did one in the afternoon, then again at 7 o'clock, one at midnight, and again this morning at 6 o'clock.
Now, although there were 1 or 2 accidents, it does look as though that preparation means that really things did keep moving quite well. Things could have been a lot worse, couldn't they?
Yes, I think our men out there driving the gritters, it's not a pleasant job, and they did an excellent job last night, so well done to them. They kept the motorways open this morning so most people could get to work.
What indication do we have about what conditions are going to be like, perhaps through this afternoon and evening and as well over the next few days? Because obviously there's a lot of wetness around that, I suppose, could freeze.
Yeah, as I say, we are monitoring the situation very closely, and we are in contact with the Met Office. The cold snap is forecast to continue, and we've got snow flurries forecast for later today. What we're doing this afternoon, we're gritting all the routes again. All the motorways will be gritted this afternoon, and then we'll go onto standby and monitoring overnight, and we will go out again depending on the weather forecast. It's updated throughout the night and early morning. This way we'll keep all the motorways open. I'm confident we'll do that. OK, well, you've done some very good work so far. Hopefully we should have a similar situation as we go through the night with very few problems. Thanks very much for the update this lunchtime there. Well, today's snow has also given hundreds of pupils a surprise day off in North Manchester. So far, we've been told of 40 school closures in Rochdale, with 25 in nearby Bury. We'll have more on the effects of the weather later in the programme, when we'll also bring you the very latest situation on the roads for this afternoon. Next this lunchtime, hundreds of jobs could be under threat after a Swiss bank with a base here in Manchester announced it was getting rid of 10% of its UK workforce. Credit Suisse is the latest financial organisation to run into problems because of the credit crunch. Georgia Calvin-Smith is outside its offices.
Credit Suisse is based in the offices that you see behind me, and it first moved to Manchester about 4 years ago, with bosses saying that they wanted to be closer to their clients in the north. Well, now the staff brought in under that move find that their jobs are under threat. About 650 jobs are due to go, but it's not clear where they're going to come from, because the company has offices both in Birmingham and in London. Credit Suisse is Switzerland's second largest bank, and bosses say that market conditions have forced the cuts. The news comes just as HSBC has announced it's getting rid of 500 jobs, and the day after that Manchester-based London Scottish has announced that it's going into administration, thereby putting the future of the 700 staff it employs into jeopardy. Georgia Calvin-Smith, Channel M News.
It turns out the mother accused of killing her own 2 young children last month here in Manchester had been treated for mental health problems. Jael Mullings was diagnosed with a type of depression called low mood but missed some appointments and was discharged. Her baby and 2-year-old son were found killed at their home in Cheetham Hill. Their mum hadn't been responding to treatment and staff had referred her to her GP. A senior police officer has been chosen to review the police inquiry into leaks from the Home Office. Acting Met Police Commissioner Sir Paul Stevenson will look into what happened in the run-up to the arrest of the Tories immigration spokesman Damien Green. He was questioned for 9 hours last week. A report will be prepared over the forthcoming week. While that happens, the investigation team is speaking to the Crown Prosecution Service about where the inquiry goes now. Police are treating the death of a grandad 4 weeks after a shoplifter pushed him to the ground outside a co-op in Blakely as manslaughter. The family of Philip Dickinson are now starting an appeal to help catch the thief responsible for his death. Andy Buckley's on this.
Philip Dickinson was making his way to the shops on Victoria Avenue at the end of September when a thief who'd stolen a box of chocolates ran past him, knocking him to the floor. 75-year-old Mr Dickinson, who'd had heart problems, was later taken ill and died a month after the shock. Police are now trying to trace this man, who was captured on the store's security cameras just before the theft. They say that while he didn't cause Mr Dickinson's death, the incident was a contributing factor. They've now launched a manslaughter investigation and want to hear from anyone who might recognise him. Mr Dickinson's family are preparing for his funeral tomorrow and are facing the media this afternoon in support of the police investigation.
Tributes are being paid to a leading member of Tameside Council who's died. Margaret Oldham had served as the Labour member for Newton Hyde for 13 years. She was taken ill on Saturday and passed away a day later. Her husband, Town Hall leader Roy Oldham, says he's lost a very dear wife and friend, and the borough has lost an excellent politician. High-tech lie detectors have been installed on phone lines in one part of Greater Manchester to catch people lying when applying for housing and council tax benefits. The software analyses their voice and spots changes which suggest they're not telling the truth. Bury is trying the idea out for the next 12 months, along with another 18 areas around the country, with money from the Department for Work and Pensions. Ofsted's demanding reform of the system for investigating the more serious cases of child abuse. A so-called serious case review is done after a child dies or gets seriously injured through abuse or neglect. But the inspectors say many of these are inadequate, meaning lessons aren't learnt, as in the recent case of baby P. A fresh investigation into the boy's death has been ordered, and the man who investigated the Victoria Colombier case, Lord Laming, has been brought in to make recommendations. Saddam Hussein's cousin, dubbed Chemical Ali, has been given a second life sentence. An Iraqi court handed down the punishment to Ali Hassan al-Majid for a crackdown on a Shia uprising following the Gulf War in 1991. A second official of the Ba'ath Party has also been given the same sentence. Right, time now to take a look at the lunchtime sports headlines with the details. Here's Sam Goodman.
Thank you, James. Well, overnight, Cristiano Ronaldo was awarded the prestigious Ballon d'Or award. The last United player to win the European Player of the Year was George Best in 1968. Ronaldo received the award after scoring 42 goals last season and helping United win the league title and the Champions League. Barcelona's Lionel Messi came second, with Liverpool's Fernando Torres in third. Well, Manchester City manager Mark Hughes has asked for the fans to be patient with the team and to give the time with the squad. City have had mixed season so far, and the Blues boss insists it will take time if they want to be on the same level as Manchester United. Well, City player Robinho will not be fined by Mark Hughes after he told his teammates to start thinking like champions if they are ever to win the league or a cup. Hughes believes what was said in a TV interview was taken out of context. Well, Macclesfield are the only local side in action tonight. They travel to Wickham with a fully fit squad, and Keith Alexander won't be looking to make many changes after they beat Port Vale 3-1 on Friday in the FA Cup. They will face Everton in the third round. Well, in rugby, Salford will be fielding one of the strongest packs in the league next season, with a combined weight close to 100 stone. Kiwi Robbie Poole will be adding his experience as hooker to one of the biggest packs in the club's history. In boxing, Amir Khan has returned from Los Angeles ahead of his fight against Oysin Fagan on Saturday night. Manchester warrior Michael Gomez has been sparring with Khan and believes he will return a better fighter, even though he is somewhat smaller. And if Ricky Hatton has another fight, it will have to be in London. Oscar De La Hoya has said that if he beats Manny Pacquiao this weekend, the potential fight against Hatton should be held at Wembley. And finally, ex-Manchester United player Henrik Larsson has not ruled out a move back to the Premiership after his contract ended with Swedish side Helsingborg. Well, that's all the sport from me for now. Join me again at 5 o'clock.
Thank you very much. More sport then with Andy Crane in the early evening news from 5. Still ahead on the lunchtime news, then more on today's icy weather that's affecting much of Greater Manchester and why criminals on community service are now having to wear fluorescent jackets.
We need to make sure that the public are aware by people wearing distinctive clothing who's actually undertaking the work. And the whole idea of that is to increase public confidence in community sentences and raise awareness of the type of work that we actually do.
Welcome back to Channel M's Lunchtime News, bringing you the top stories from across Greater Manchester every day between 12 and 1. You can always log on as well to channelm.co.uk, where right now we've got details of a major new crackdown on drink driving and pictures from an explosion that destroyed a block of flats in Wigan over the weekend. That's at channelm.co.uk. Now back to our top story, the Arctic blast of snow and ice that's caused problems right across Greater Manchester. Dozens of schools have been closed in Rochdale and Bury. Many people had slow journeys into work this morning as well. These are just some of the pictures of the snowy scenes that people were waking up to earlier that we've managed to collect. You can see snow settling in many places, and it has been falling as well right through the morning. Well, with us now is Michelle Eagleton, who keeps us up to date on traffic and travel throughout Channel M's breakfast show. Michelle, thank you very much for joining us this lunchtime. Where was it particularly bad this morning?
Oh, there was absolutely loads of hot spots across Greater Manchester. Bolton was one of them on St Peter's Way. We also had Oldham, really, really bad with heavy snow on Lees Road, Milnrow Road. That was one of the main areas this morning. And also Ramsbottom was absolutely gridlocked. In fact, it is still looking like that at the moment. And it wasn't just affecting the roads, it was affecting public transport, because you might remember, if you did watch the breakfast show, there was a Metrolink. Now some of the service hours suspended between Piccadilly and Crumpsall because of some snow actually on the tram line, so it caused problems for people everywhere, commuters right across Greater Manchester.
Give us an idea what the situation's like now then. What's the latest that we've got?
Well, it does seem to have eased off in comparison to this morning, because a lot of the gritters have been out on the roads, as the Highways Agency said, so it has calmed off, but some of it's had a bit of a knock-on effect. As you can see, the M62 really suffering. In fact, I had a lady who texted me in at 11 o'clock when she was stuck on the M60 around the Prestwich turn-off heading towards Leeds. She has actually just texted me she's been stuck for an hour getting through 3 junctions and decided to turn off now. She's not going to Leeds anymore because it is absolutely jam-packed around there. OK, Michelle, thanks very much for that. We'll be back with you later in the programme for the latest weather forecast and, of course, full travel updates in our evening news programme with Andy Crane from 5 as well. The government is rejecting accusations that making criminals wear high-vis jackets is like bringing back medieval justice. They've been given to offenders doing community service, but critics say they're cheap and nasty. Here's Georgia Calvin-Smith.
These workmen could be mistaken for any other maintenance team. But by taking a look at their jackets, it becomes clear that they're actually offenders and their supervisors working off criminal sentences by helping communities.
We need to make sure that the public are aware by people wearing distinctive clothing who's actually undertaking the work. And the whole idea of that is to increase public confidence in community sentences and raise awareness of the type of work that we actually do.
Cleanups like this mean communities can get something positive out of a criminal sentence. For these offenders, the punishment is having to turn up and work unpaid. What did you do wrong?
Car theft and crashed, basically. Well, I wouldn't do this if I'd not been in trouble, not a chance. It's bad because you're up early, it's freezing. If it was the summer, and it wouldn't be too bad, but because of the weather, it's a joke. But we deserve it, don't we? We've got to do something to pay them back.
The new high-vis jackets are less about shaming the offenders than to make it clear to others that the work is being done by a community payback team. The Dago clothing is being introduced by probation areas right across the country.
The wider community are now becoming more and more aware of the types of work that we do undertake and the value that that is to the community. And if the bonus of that as well is to address people's offending behaviour and try and ensure that those poor decisions that have been made in their lives aren't repeated, then that really is largely what we're here to do. We're here to protect the public and reduce reoffending.
Community Payback was born out of community service, which was first brought in 1976. And since then, offenders have worked on countless neighbourhood projects. But many of the people responsible for running the scheme say that there is a lack of public awareness of just how much work the scheme's responsible for. Many of the people who've benefited from Community Payback say that they have no regrets.
They've cut the grass, cleared all the garden for us, painted the building outside, and also done some flagging all around the building. It was quite good. There was a good bunch of girls and boys.
The scheme is open to any new suggestions of projects that could benefit from work done by Community Payback teams. If you've an idea for a scheme and want to have your say on how offenders give something back, log on to the website below. Georgia Calvin-Smith, Channel M News.
Now, we've heard many different ideas in the past on tackling antisocial behaviour caused by too much alcohol. But in Bolton, they've come up with a new one, and this involves getting partygoers to blow bubbles, as David Henry explains.
It's said West Ham fans are forever blowing bubbles, but soon the same could be said of the people of Bolton. Special bubbles are being given out to partygoers in the town over the festive period to tackle violent crime.
It takes the mind off other things that they could probably finish up doing, which is causing antisocial behaviour.
The bubble pens will be given out to revellers at the end of weekend nights out in the hope it'll cut the number of street fights. So do people think it'll work?
I'm not convinced it'll make a huge difference, but you never know. Yeah. If they've got something in the hand, something they can hold, it may do. It may help a little bit, I don't know, but every little helps, and that's the important thing.
The hope is people will focus more on blowing bubbles as they make their way home, rather than getting into trouble. It follows previous campaigns involving lollipops and slices of toast.
This is just a bit of fun, and it's one small part of a really big operation to make people feel safe. The tiny minority who want to come to Bolton and commit crime or antisocial behaviour, they're not going to be getting bubble pens. We've got some other freebies for them. They can have a free ride to the police station in the back of a van.
If people are having fun, is there something wrong with that when it doesn't cost a great lot of money? And I do think that keeping people's spirits high rather than low is a very, very good thing if we're trying to make sure that people are enjoying themselves in the town.
Well, only time will tell if these no-trouble bubbles will make Bolton's streets safer. David Henry, Channel M News.
Jo Brand was in town last night for an appearance at the Comedy Store for her Act for Africa show. All proceeds go to the charity to help raise money to fight against HIV and AIDS through education.
First of all, tell me a little bit about how you got involved with Act for Africa.
Well, what particularly struck me about this charity was they're small, they're not based in London, and I always feel that London-based big charities are kind of way out ahead in some ways because it's easier for them to get people to represent them because they only have to come down the road from their mansion in Hampstead. And I tend to try and kind of go for stuff outside London that's smaller because I think they find it more difficult to get people to support them, really. I also actually like what they do in the sense that they're kind of a very small operation over here, and their main sort of thrust is to educate people in Africa about AIDS awareness by training staff from Africa to work with kind of within a community.
2009, is it going to be a special year for Jo Brand? What have you got planned?
Well, I just finished my third novel, thank God, because it's taken 2 years, the longest of all the 3 that I've written. The first one took a normal amount of time, 6 months. The second one, 6 weeks, because I was so under pressure to produce it. So that's kind of done and dusted. In 2009, I may be writing some sort of autobiography. I've kind of been commissioned to do it. That'll probably take 17 years and may well never appear, I don't know. But I'm currently doing a great series for BBC Two, which is, it sounds weird, and it is weird, but it's quite interesting. It's kind of a public speaking competition for teenagers from all over the country, and I'm one of the judges on it, and it's fascinating. And they have to do different tasks every week to do with public speaking with a so-called celebrity mentor, and it's really good.
If you were watching yesterday, you'd have seen us kick off our Christmas choir competition here on Channel M. Today is day 2 and the turn of Beaver Road Primary from Didsbury. Details of how you can vote for them are on the way after we've heard some of their medley from Oliver.
Beaver Primary School is really good because the food's really nice here and there's always really nice teachers, and if you haven't got a friend, people always just come up to you and play with you.
Well, a big thank you to everyone at Beaver Road Primary. You can see that performance in full in tonight's evening news at 5. If you want to vote for them, you need to text Choir B to 88821. Texts cost 50p plus your normal texting charge. 20p from each goes to charity. The text line closes at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Messages sent after that time won't count and may still be charged. You'll be able to vote for them again when we reopen their text line in our hour-long Christmas Choir Contest special the weekend of the 13th and 14th of December. The choir with the most votes will win the coveted Christmas Choir Competition trophy and get to visit our studio at Urbis in the city centre to perform live. Good luck to everyone who's taking part. Well, as we've heard right through the programme, there's been loads of disruption because of the snow. Looking ahead with the forecast for the next few days now, here's Michelle Eagleton.
I have to say we did wake up to a bit of a winter wonderland outside this morning. A little bit better this afternoon, I have to say. A lot of that snow has cleared, although some places like Oldham and Bolton are suffering from some snow because of being a higher ground area. Bury as well has been suffering more than most as well today, especially if you've been driving out and about in that area. Also across Greater Manchester we are seeing highs of between 3 and 7, so still quite mild temperatures out there, but a bit of a breeze coming through from the westerly direction, which make it seem very, very chilly. Now this afternoon we are going to be dominated by some rain and sleet in some places. We're continuing that into the evening, I'm afraid, and possibly Wednesday and Thursday it's going to be very full of heavy showers. A lot of heavy showers and a lot of cloud as well for Wednesday and Thursday. Friday not so bad, staying dry, just cloud is expected. Saturday the best of the week because we are seeing some sunny spells, although those temperatures not reaching any higher than 5 degrees.
You're watching Channel M's Lunchtime News. Our main headline this afternoon: dozens of schools are closed in parts of Greater Manchester because of the snow. There were delays on many roads earlier as the first Arctic ice and snow of winter arrived. The sub-zero temperatures look like lasting for several days. We'll have the latest on that and the rest of the day's stories in our early evening news with Andy Crane from 5 o'clock tonight. But from me and the rest of the Lunchtime team, have a good afternoon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.